Captain Fortescue, does the battle go well? Curse you, Fortescue, curse you!
Time for my first PSP review. I am going to review MediEvil Resurrection, my first PSP game. MediEvil was released several years ago for the PSX, and in those days I loved that game. Is this remake any better? Let's begin with the story. You are Sir Daniel Fortesque, and he has a pretty interesting story. Sir Dan was said to be the fateful warrior that took out Zarok, but in reality, he was one of the first soldiers to fall during the immense fight because of an arrow that struck him in his eye. Zarok has found a way to resurrect himself and an entire army of undead, including our good old friend Sir Dan. After this, Dan begins with his quest to defeat Zarok. You travel through Gallowmere and you will face pretty much all stages from the original version, only with some few new stages here and there and some little tweaks to the stages. You will also encounter some mini-games which are very fun and new to the MediEvil series. The gameplay of this game is just like its original 1998 version, when MediEvil was released for the PSX. Dan is pretty stiff and his controls are far from perfect. He got a new attack which he didn't have in the original. He now has some sort of dashing attack to rush towards his opponents and knock them away. He still has his two other attacks, a strong slow one and a fast weak one. Dan is also capable of jumping. Now we go right into the little downside of this battle system. The game suffers from a weak collision detection which can take away some fun out of the combat. This is a problem for jumping as well, making you miss some jumps often. The camera is also far from perfect. You can only center it behind Dan, which gives a good view, though it sometimes is hard to see who you are fighting and where you are fighting him. Now the game's presentation. The game looks fantastic, so much better than the original version. Everything has more color, everything has more detail, there are more enemies, the bosses look better, and some have been changed in a lot of positive ways. There is just more variation in every graphical aspect. Back in 1998 the Scurvy Docks was just a dark place with bridges and darkness everywhere. Here you can actually see a dock and it isn't dark anymore. There is one bummer concerning the graphics. You will notice some frame rate drops when you are in crowded areas. The game has an amazing FMV sequence at the beginning of almost every stage. This also brings us to the audio. The audio is superb. The music fits the game great, and the voice acting is from a high level.
I need another gardener, someone to trim my bush.
This fun game and way better than the original version. However, the weak collision detection, the sometimes irritating camera, Dan's bad controls, and some frame rate issues let the score drop. This game is also relatively short. I give this game a 7 out of 10.
Ours to take. Grab it, we're home free.